Bring you here another FPL video, FPL challenge in specific. Prep you guys for game week 2. It's gonna start obviously at the same time as regular FPL on Friday with the Crystal Palace Man City game. Here are results for the first game week of the season, an FPL challenge. Decent enough. Could have been better. I don't think it's the worst start ever. Okay, Vuskovic obviously held a clean sheet, got the bonus because he was a new signing, 12 points. Senezi guaranteed us 6 points, obviously the bonus. Maharemovic, same thing, clean sheet against Forest with a bonus, 12 points. Rogers took off, goal, right, scored, new signing bonus, 16 points. Holland, big disappointment. I was always going to go with Holland, armband, but I did think for, you know, a split second, I was kind of like, in the back of my head, I was like, man, Rodgers' captaincy wouldn't be a bad shot. What do you know? That could have been way better. I think this is like, what, 20, 32, 38, 56, right? We got 56 points here. Could have been even better with Rodgers' captaincy. Okay, but yeah. We move. This score, 56 points, was good enough to put us in the top 15% globally. So not a bad start, not a great start, but we keep moving, right? Game week 2 fixtures here on the screen kind of give us an idea of what size to potentially target. Obviously, I feel like FPL challenge depends a lot on what the challenge is, the game week challenge is, but obviously does help us to have an idea of what the matchups are going to look like, right? Crystal Palace, Man City, obviously just keep in mind, guys, we have lineups for all of these games in FPL Challenge. We get to see, lineups compared to regular FPL where we don't get to see any lineups. We get to see all the lineups for FPL Challenge. So obviously very helpful, okay? Just keep that in mind. Crystal Palace, Man City, obviously, again, feel like City not the greatest start. They got the job done, but they didn't play, amazing at all. I think Crystal Palace, I didn't watch the Crystal Palace game, so I can't really say too much. They did lose, though, to Everton. Selhurst Park last year, this matchup, Man City did manage to win. I think it was 3-1, okay? I feel like I'm going to put slight favoritism here. I'm going to say a 1-0, a one goal. I'm going to say a one goal. I'm going to say Man City are one goal favorites in this matchup, okay? Maybe holding a clean sheet, maybe not. Liverpool Forest. Liverpool, again, had their chances created. They just couldn't be objective enough. They couldn't be critical enough in terms of finishing them. Got hit on the counter, obviously, by Newcastle, and yeah, managed to get the tie with that last-minute pen, okay? Against Forest here, Forest that obviously didn't look great either. They lost to Leeds at home, okay? I feel like Liverpool and Anfield are stronger when they play in Anfield. I feel like they might have an answer here. I feel like they're favorites here against Forest. Okay, they might have an answer for their not so great game week 1 performance, and they get the job done here. Okay, holding a clean sheet, maybe not. It depends. I think it's very 50-50. Bournemouth and Everton. I feel like Bournemouth are favorites here. I already said this in the FPL video, regular FPL, but I think Marco Rose, I really like him as a coach. I followed him in Leipzig, had a really good, stint there, and I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he ends up having an even better season than Iraola did. I know Iraola had like the most points, right, for Bournemouth. He leads now with the best Premier League performance for Bournemouth was under Iraola, right? I think it was last year, right, or maybe I could be mistaken, but what I'm saying here is I wouldn't be surprised if Marco Rose does even better. Okay, if he goes a step beyond, and I think a lot of people might be saying, oh, no Semenyo, there's no way they're going to match that. I feel like collectively, and I don't know, I feel like I could see it happening. I feel like Bournemouth are going to be a real good side this season again. Not just, from what I've saw game week 1. Like I said, we have one game sample size. I don't like to put too much weight on that, but just in general, I feel like they're going to have a really good season, okay? I feel like here they're favorites against Everton in Vitality. Okay, I think it's still called Vitality. I could be mistaken. Their home stadium, but I put them as one goal favorites here. Okay, maybe a 2-1. Maybe they do even better here. Okay, and win by more goals. I'm gonna stick with 2-1 Bournemouth here. Coventry Hull City. It's a matchup of two promoted sides, right? I think in this matchup in the EFL last year, I think one of them was 2-2, the other one was 0-0. I could be completely mistaken. This is just my rough memory here. Could be very much wrong, but I wouldn't put too much weight on this Coventry defeat. They were playing Premier League winners in the Emirates. Okay, Hull City, really good win. Shocked a lot of people with their win against Man United. But again, it is one game sample size. Yeah, I think it's very balanced, very much balanced this matchup here. I don't see a lot of goals. Okay, I could see like a 1-0 Coventry win, but I could also see like a 0-0 game here. Okay, I'm just gonna stick with that. I could be mistaken though. Okay. Spurs Newcastle. Spurs didn't look great at all, right? As I believed it would be the case, I wasn't confident at all in them going in, and as of right now, I don't think we can fully trust them. Okay, Newcastle looked decent enough on the counter at least, countering Liverpool. They look decently lively. Yeah, I think. But regardless of that, I think this matchup's kind of hard to tell. Okay, I'd maybe dodge this matchup for now, till we get more information on these teams, see how they play. Chelsea Brighton, I see goals here. I just see goals here. Brighton, we obviously saw very capable of scoring. Scored 4 right against Villa. Chelsea scored 3 on Fulham. A team that that attacking trio for Chelsea looks like it's going to be clicking this season. I see goals here. What are we saying? Maybe like a 2-2, a 3-2 Chelsea win here potentially. Could be the other way though. Okay, it wouldn't shock me if Brighton win here. Okay, but I think more likely Chelsea wins than anything. Leeds Brentford, I'll just say 2-2. Looks like a 2-2 game to me. Brentford very capable of scoring. Sunderland, Fulham, 1-0 Sunderland. I'm just going to keep it simple. Sunderland obviously in the Stadium of Light last season showed that they could be, a good defensive side, could hold their clean sheets. I think we could see a similar case here this season. Obviously unchanged coaching staff, and yeah, just maybe not the whole coaching staff. I know their coach is still the French guy, but good. I think they'll be their favorites here is what I'm trying to say. 1-0 Sunderland. My guess, Manchester United against Ipswich. I think Manchester United here in Old Trafford have an answer for their game week 1 bad performance. I feel like they're going to potentially win this 2-0. Maybe it's a simpler victory than that, a 1-0, but I think we're going to see a score line around something around that, okay? Something along those lines, okay? Aston Villa, Arsenal. I'm just going to say 1-0 Arsenal. Looks like that's going to be the case. Arsenal, obviously, very capable defensively. Villa, very, very much struggling offensively, as we saw. And am I fully confident that that's going to change here? No, but it could happen. But just for right now, I'm just gonna say 1-0 Arsenal. Okay, 1-0 Arsenal here. Yeah, I like that prediction. Here's the challenge, the Game Week 2 challenge. Okay, here in FPL Challenge. Double points for players from the promoted clubs. Obviously, that's Coventry, Hull City, Ipswich. Up to 3 players per club. So obviously, a few things to take into account here. The player limit is different than what we usually see. Obviously, we usually see in FPL Challenge a 1 player per club limit. They're allowing us to have 3 players per club in this game week, and obviously double points for the players from promoted sides. Okay, and obviously, like we saw, there is basically a EFL matchup going on in game week 2. Obviously, Coventry playing at home against Hull City, so I feel like that kind of evens the matchup. Obviously for them, they're kind of on, like I said, it's pretty 50-50 this matchup to me. So I feel like we have even more of a reason to play their players because it's an even matchup. It's not like we're playing Coventry against Arsenal away like it was last game week. We're playing Coventry against another team that also just got promoted from the EFL. So I feel like very much even grounds here, very much higher odds of these players producing in this matchup. So I really like that, the matchup of Hull City Coventry that we have. And I definitely do like that they're allowing us to have 3 players per club. Obviously doesn't mean you have to pick players from promoted sides, but I feel like it's within our best interest to do so. I feel like if you look at the better, when it's all said and done, obviously, when we see the top scores for this game week, I feel like whoever that player or players may be, they're definitely going to have players from promoted sides in their team, would be my guess, The big hauls in FPL Challenge usually come from people that, are that can benefit from the double points or whatever from the challenge. Okay. Here's some names by position that I like. Holland, obviously, I feel like Holland rarely goes multiple games blanking. Right. In this matchup last year, he scored 2 goals. Like I said, Man City, I believe, won 3-1. He scored 2 goals. Yeah, I feel like Holland's gonna want to get on the scoring sheet here, okay, and it could happen, okay. Ejok, same kind of deal. Looked good in preseason. Looked really bad game week 1. Maybe he has an answer here in Anfield. I think that could very well be the case, okay, against Forest. Broby could be the guy that produces the goals here for Sunderland. He has everything he needs to, I think, very likely. Calvert-Lewin, same deal. He's gonna get his chances more likely than not here for Leeds. Could very well finish them. Tayo Ewoni, like I mentioned to you guys already. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just thinking because I just filmed the other video. But Tayo Ewoni, guys, on Tuesday he played a EFL Cup game against Plymouth Argyle for Coventry. Okay, and he had a goal and an assist in that game. So Tayo Ewoni, we know him, right? If you get Tayo Ewoni, if you play him in the right game week, he can definitely produce a lot of points for you. He's not consistent. We know this. At least in my opinion, he's not consistent. But if you catch him, if you play him in the right game, he's very much playable, okay? Could be the case here. Like I said, Coventry playing Hull City. Why not, okay? McBurney, a guy that had, 25 goal involvements in the FL last year. 18 goals, 7 assists. Yeah, a guy that already produced an assist here against Man United. Could be a very good name, okay? In a even matchup, like we know is going to probably be Hull City Coventry, okay? Midfielders, Bruno, obviously, big disappointment game week 1. He could very well bounce back here against Ipswich. I feel like it's more likely that he does than not. Okay. Obviously, it's unfortunate he doesn't get any double points, but very much playable, right? And Buemo, alternative to him. Jack Rodoni, I like a lot. Okay. Jack Rodoni is basically the number 10 for Coventry. He's their attacking mid. He's a guy that had plenty of goals and assists last CFL season for Coventry. Coventry here, needing to give their fans an answer after that defeat against Arsenal. They're gonna basically play an EFL matchup here against another promoted side. I feel like Coventry are gonna feel like they could definitely get 3 points out of this matchup and attempt to create chances and score goals. And I feel like Jack Rodoni very involved in that Coventry attack. He's not always a starter, but we're going to have lineups. Like I said, it's not going to be a problem. He could be a real good name here, okay? Crooks and Slater, with the fact that it's a balanced matchup, between two recently promoted teams, and the fact that they get double points, because of the challenge, I feel like Crooks and Slater are awesome names here, okay? They're guys that can get you DEFCONs in any given games. They're guys that can get you also a goal contribution in any given game, I think Crooks had around 7 or so in the EFL last year. Slater was more around the 4 or so mark, so they could definitely, have their nights, okay? So I think they're very playable here. Victor Torp is a Danish midfielder for Coventry. He acts as kind of like their box-to-box mid, I believe, and looking at his stats, I mean, he takes corners well. He is... I think he had the most goal involvements for Coventry last season. He's a guy that's not always going to start. His limits might be a little limited. His minutes might be a little limited, but with lineups, if he starts, guys, and this is a guy, my bad, I know I'm talking a lot here, but Victor Torp, on this game on Tuesday, the 25th now, against Plymouth Argyle, he had a goal and an assist. Imagine we're counting this for game week 2 here, dude. Goal, assist, what is that, 11 play points, 13, right? Bonus 16 with the challenge 32. I mean, he would have had a freaking 32 pointer, dude. If we're counting his last match for Coventry in this format with double points, that's all I'm gonna say. Okay, he would have scored a 32 pointer. Okay, that's how good of a pick I think he could be. Gustavo Hammer, Gus Hammer, he's Brazilian name, right? I know how to pronounce his name. Gustavo Hammer, I mean, he started their last game against Plymouth Argyle as well. This is a guy that's coming from Sheffield United in the EFL. This is a guy that's capable of getting a bunch of goal involvements. Okay, I think he had 25 as well. Kind of McBurney numbers for Sheffield United in the EFL last year. This guy that could take set pieces. Just in general, a really good name, really strong name for goal involvements here for Coventry if he starts. Okay. playing as basically like a left winger, midfielder kind of role. Onyeka more for goal defcons. I prefer Redoni, Torp, and Hamer way more. Okay, Chaona, he plays as like a right winger for Coventry. He played for Burnley last Premier League season, did okay, but I think I'm probably gonna stick with these three guys here. Okay, whichever one of them starts, or out of Torp and Hamer, my bad. Out of Torp and Hamer, I'm probably gonna stick with them. Okay, before I pick Onyeka and Chaona. Okay, Palmer Rogers obviously playing against Brighton. Why not? It sucks that they don't get the double points, but they're very much playable. Okay, they could definitely outscore these double point players. Obviously, okay. Don't think that they can't. Enzo Lafie obviously has pens for Sunderland. It's like Sunderland, like I said, favorites here. Could very well have a good match day. Okay, Cherky, Foden, like I said, Foden I think scored on this matchup last year in Selhurst Park, and then Cherky just looked real lively. Good names. Okay, Virtue Buzzlight, like I said, they could have, a real nice game here, a bounce back kind of game, answer for the fans kind of game in Anfield against Forest. Okay, defenders that I like a lot, Amenda. Okay, Amenda is a guy that's coming from Frankfurt, a guy that I followed a lot in Frankfurt last Bundesliga season. Obviously, I watched the Bundesliga very closely. I play Bundesliga fantasy, so this is a guy that gets a lot of defensive actions. Okay, I think he was one off from hitting DEFCON this first game against Arsenal. I feel like he's gonna hit DEFCON if he starts consistently this year a lot of times. Okay, he's gonna hit DEFCON pretty often. That Coventry clean sheet, like I said, could very well happen in my opinion here against Hull City. So he's a good name. Thomas, everything I just said for Amanda kind of works for Thomas. Okay, serves for Thomas. Egan and Mendy, they could get you a lot of DEFCONs. These are guys that got a lot of DEFCONs this game against United. I feel like here playing away against Coventry are gonna be on the defensive kind of side against Coventry. And Egan and Mendy are just DEFCON beasts. Okay, Mendy got plenty of defensive involvements in the La Liga last year when he played for Vallecano, and Egan, really really good clearance numbers. Just the whole CBIT, rubric for DEFCONs. He's really good on that. So I think even if they don't keep a clean sheet against Coventry, which I feel like it could happen, right? Maybe like we see a 0-0 scoreline. But if it doesn't happen, this is a guy that with double points hitting DEFCON. I mean, that's an 8-pointer in your team. I'll take that any day of the week. I don't know about you guys, but that's all I'm saying, okay? Van Uwijk, looking for goal involvements, clean sheet for Coventry. A guy that could get plenty of assists. Got plenty of assists for Coventry last season. Gavardo Gehi, not my favorite names, but they're names for sure. Van Dijk and Kirkes, Frimpong, decent names. If you want to look for that Liverpool clean sheet and some goal involvements as well. Virgil, kind of a do-it-all kind of guy. He can, get goals, get you DEFCONs, and get you a clean sheet. So, yeah. Jacques and Arujo, a lot of doubt, right? Which one of the two starts, but I feel like both of them are decent picks, okay? Maguire and Ballard, good names for DEFCON, good names for clean sheet odds, United and Sunderland respectively. And good aerial threat, right? Both of them are very likely to score headers, okay? They've shown to do that in the past, okay? Alderette, an alternative to Ballard that kind of has similar profile as he, good DEFCONs, decent enough, aerial threat. Mosquera, Calafiori, White, Gabriel. If you guys won't trust that Arsenal clean sheet a lot, all those four names, I think you're very well served with any of them, okay? I think your team's in a good spot with any of the four, okay? Goalkeepers that I like, Rushworth and Salakis because of the double points. And I think, there's real good clean sheet odds for both of them, okay? I don't think it's crazy to think that this game ends in a 0-0 draw and both of them feast up on points with a double points bonus, okay? And some saves too. I mean, it's GG's, dude. We could be looking at both of these keepers like, 6 with a clean sheet, maybe 7-8 points. Looking at, let's say 7 and be humble about it, like 7 with a double. You could be looking at some 14-point hauls for both keepers here, okay? Raya, just safe pick, very likely to keep a clean sheet. A lot of the match days, a lot of the game weeks doesn't change here. Lamens, I feel like for this game week in particular, okay, it's hard to trust United defensively, but against Ipswich at home in Old Trafford, needing to give the fans an answer after that bad performance game week 1, I feel like Lamens could very well keep a clean sheet here, okay? And then Ruffs, one of the best keepers for the match, I think it's Ruffs. That Sunderland clean sheet is looking very likely, okay, in the Stadium of Light against Fulham, okay? So this is the team that I put together, okay? And I'm probably going to stick with it, okay? Obviously depends on lineups. It could be the case that I take a guy like Redoni out for Like I said, Gustavo Hamer or Victor Torp. That's a change that I could see happening. But I'm just gonna explore and take advantage of the double points for the promoted side, for the promoted teams here, guys. Okay, especially the, as you can see here, the matchup of Coventry and Hull City. So the way I set this up is I'm kind of targeting every potential outcome of this game, right? Let's say, Coventry wins with a clean sheet, 1-0, right? Let's say. I feel like there's good odds Rodoni's going to be involved in that goal. We have Rodoni here. And then 1-0, like I said. So Coventry clean sheet, double Coventry clean sheet here, okay? Boom. Let's say something crazy happens, which I think is unlikely, but Hull City wins game 1-0. Boom, we have Hull City clean sheets here with DEFCON, because I feel like Bendy and Negan are probably going to hit DEFCON here. So we're talking clean sheet with DEFCON, so we're looking at what? Like, bro, some 8-pointers here, right? 8-pointers with a bonus for the challenge. We're looking at 2 16-pointers right here, okay? And yeah, I mean that's just another outcome, potential outcome there. Amenda, I feel like, and Amenda here I have him as captain just because I want my captain to kind of guarantee me points. Like I told you guys, I feel like Amenda is very likely to hit DEFCONs. Worst case scenario, Coventry lose, they get scored on. I feel like Amenda could very well hit clean, could hit DEFCONs here. So he walks out with 4 points. That means he would walk out with 8 points in reality with a challenge bonus. So he'd still give me 16 points, which is not the end of the world. That's why I'm captaining a guy like Amenda, a guy that I'm confident can give me DEFCONs, okay? If he's on the, at the end of a goal involvement, forget it, we're going to get a big haul here. And then let's say another potential, outcome is both sides score 1-1 draw, but all my defenders get DEFCONs, which is very likely to happen because these guys are these guys are DEFCON beasts, okay? So we'd be looking at, right, 4-pointers, let's say. So we're looking at, obviously with the challenge bonus, 8 points, 8 points, 8 points. I'll take that any day of the week, dude. And then let's say Rushworth, it's a 1-1 draw, but he saved a lot of shots, right? So he'd be looking at 1-1 draw, like 3 points. With the bonus, you're already looking at 6 points, dude. 6 points is clean sheet worthy points for most keepers here in this game week. So if Rushworth comes out with 3 points off of, playtime points and save points, with a bonus that he's going to get from the game week challenge, dude, you're already looking at 6 points here. You're looking at clean sheet, points here. So you guys get what I'm saying here? And then let's say, obviously, in this scenario that we put together, a 1-1 draw, McBurney scores. Dude, McBurney, is going to feast up on points here. And then let's say it was McBurney that scored for Hull City and it was Rodoni that scored for Coventry, which could very well happen. Dude, they're going to feast up with the double points. So you get what I'm saying? Like, we're covered, any of the teams out of these two teams that keep a clean sheet. Obviously, they're going to, get real good scores with the double points and potentially DEFCONs. Boom, I'm covered with the Hull City double. Boom, I'm covered with Coventry City. Or with Coventry double here. My bad, Coventry City. Just Coventry. I'm covered with the Coventry clean sheet. I'm covered with the Hull City clean sheet here. Doubling both of them. Whichever one happens, or if one happens or the other, I'm covered. Okay. And then I'd say the biggest attacking threat in Hull City I have in my team. And then one of, if not, a lot of people will argue Rodoni is the biggest goal threat they have. Maybe not so. Taiwo Awoniyi kind of playing really well right now. Maybe Taiwo Awoniyi is a really good name. And I wouldn't mind Taiwo Awoniyi here in place of McBurney if you guys want to do that. I love that, okay? Taiwo Awoniyi could be a real strong name here. But, nevertheless, a real strong name here for goal involvements for Coventry, okay? So this is why I think this makes a whole lot of sense. Why not have double points full out in a matchup like this where, this team, for all the reasons I just mentioned, could very well, have real good scores here, some... Like we just said, with clean sheet, let's say all of these guys get clean sheets, dude. You're looking at 12 here, right? 6 points, you're looking at 12. About 6 points, you're looking at 12. Clean sheet here with DEFCONs, you're looking at 16. 16 with the captaincy. You're looking at 32 points with the armband. This just makes a lot of sense, dude. And let's say, let's say it's a 0-0 draw. All those points in the back, and then we still walk away with 8 points here, okay? From playtime here. 4 points, you walk away with 8 points out of these two guys. Not the end of the world. It just makes a whole lot of sense, okay? So that's why I feel like this is going to be my team right here. Hopefully that explanation kind of made you guys understand why I'm picking a full Coventry City / Hull City team for this game week. Obviously with the bonus that we have in play, okay? In terms of Ipswich, if you guys want to play some Ipswich guys, maybe O'Shea for DEFCONs, but I think United could bag some goals, so he would lose points, right, if he gets scored on more than once. So maybe it could be a problem. Florentino would be an awesome pick, but it doesn't look like he's going to start. So maybe dodge Ipswich, unfortunately, okay? Obviously, I don't know why it's saying my team here. My team was supposed to say up here, but this is my Instagram, guys. My final team's going to be posted there before the deadline to the Man City game. So if you guys want to see what my final team ends up being, follow me there. It's going to be on my story, along with all my other fantasy teams for Bundesliga, etc. And yeah, good luck on the match day. Any questions in the comments? Peace out.